Hello, and welcome to this week's From the Vault episode from the Magdalen House podcast. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Dallas, Texas, and affectionately known by many as Maggie's. Every first and third Wednesday, we bring you a new release. In our From the Vault episodes, we share past podcast releases from our 3 different podcast series: Recover Ed, Recovered, Interviews with Alcoholics, and Hope for the Family. Our podcast aims to connect, inspire, and educate alcoholics, loved ones, and the community to the Magdalen House and the services we offer. We are glad you're here, and thank you for listening.
Hello, podcast listeners. My name is Stephanie Crawford, and I am the host of this podcast, Recover Out Loud. And today on Recover Out Loud, we are doing our educational series called Recover Ed. And the point of this series is to educate our listeners more about the disease of alcoholism, recovery, and our services that we provide at the Magdalen House, and more about our programs. One of these programs is our family support program, which is free, just like all of our other programs. And we have 2 of our lovely family support committee members. One of them has a podcast episode already out on Hope for the Family. Her name is Lauren M. She was the #1 episode of all of 2021. So I will put the link to that in the show notes. Deborah T. will have one going out soon, so be on the lookout for that. And first, ladies, if you don't... Oh, and what I should say what we're doing today. What we're going to be talking about today is more about our family support program and what you can expect at a family support group meeting. They're going to let you know why it's important and all of that for the family member to seek help for themselves as well. And so very excited to have them here. Hope for the Family has become one of my favorite series. I love interviewing family members and loved ones. So if you ladies could just introduce yourself, let us know who your qualifier is and how you got involved with Maggie's.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm really glad to be here with my pal, Lauren. So my loved one is, I would say my qualifier is my oldest son. I also come from a family of alcoholism, heavy drinkers, addicts, some in recovery, some not. So I felt like I was really well versed in all of this, but not as much as I learned from the get-go when my son first got involved in his recovery. Why I have a connection to Maggie's or the Magdalen House, is that working the 12 steps, the last step, step 12, is carrying the message. And I heard about Maggie's through some other members in my group and my sponsor. And so I decided that it would be really wonderful to work with an all-women's detox recovery program and really support family members. Because what was given to me when I was going through a family support weekend at my son's program in West Texas, I really wanted to give that back because I learned so much and learned that I really didn't know as much. But it was a great support and understanding how I too could get better, since I realized that I had some issues that I needed to deal with. So I'm really glad to be here today.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I'm so excited to be here today, and I'm really excited to be a part of the Magdalen House. I love that we get to serve in this way and work our 12th step, and that's really what this is about. Our family members, I have a mom that is not recovered now, and I learned about a family support group from when she was in treatment. And then my husband works a program, and he's been sober for a long time, about 10 years, when we've been through a relapse too. And that's really just what helps me, is being a part of the family support group and, having a community where we can serve and work the steps as well. So.
Okay, so what I heard from both of you guys, which is interesting, is that neither one of your quote-unquote qualifiers went through the Magdalen House. So you don't have to have a loved one who went through Maggie's to get involved with family support.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times people will ask us that, my loved one did not go to Maggie's, can I still come to family support? And we're like, yes, you can. In fact, the other night when we were doing one of our meetings, we always ask, how did you hear about Maggie's? And the person said, it was a woman, a mom, and her daughter went somewhere else for treatment. She said, I Googled family support in Dallas.
Oh, that is cool. So cool.
Okay, so it gives me goosebumps. Googled family support in Dallas, and the Magdalen House popped up. I mean, is that not awesome? It's so wonderful.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
You can find out about, anyone can come. So.
Yeah, which was great for us because I didn't have a family member in the house. It was just a way that I could come and serve, and it's been really awesome. So it's open, which we love. So and you can come back after too. So it's great.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that I know we're trying to communicate more and like partner up with more like sober livings and that sort of thing. So that way they know they can send family members here. So how cool. How did family support get started here? Because it hasn't always been a part of the Magdalen House, correct?
That is true, right? We kind of came on pretty early, but we did a little research and found that it kind of started in 2012 back at the old house, Redwood Circle. And how it was introduced to me is it really is started as a 12-step carry the message possibility for loved ones. And we met 1 hour a week, sometimes on a Sunday. Then we started doing it on a Wednesday night. We were really trying to accommodate the participants because it was important that they had an opportunity to come and talk. And sometimes people live outside of Dallas or they live in different parts, so to get to that location with traffic and everything. So
yeah, and it was in 2012, and neither of us were there at that time, but somebody else started it, and it was a small group, and then we were told about it from our other group just as a way to carry the message, like she said, and just wanted to really grow it there because there was a need. So there was, family members didn't have an avenue, to really talk about their own, their journey or to just figure that out. And so it was really great that was started, and then it just kept growing. So to answer your question, 2012 is when it started. I think Deb and I didn't go for a couple of years after that, and then and then it just kept growing.
Yeah, it's grown a lot.
Absolutely.
Cool. How cool is that?
It has a lot.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that, Deb, you said earlier, which I think this can tie into the meeting format, is this is the first time where a family member is going to be in an environment where it's focused on them. Can you elaborate on that and talk about like what a meeting actually looks like for family support?
Sure. So I kind of think, and Laura and I were talking about this yesterday, we kind of believe it's more the first touch, the introduction to any type of understanding or support for a family member. Sometimes people come into our room or our Zoom meetings, and they're all kind of tied up with, it's all about that loved one and not them. They really don't have the problem. So we really give them an opportunity. We have a lot of compassion because we've been there. We call it depth and weight. We allow them to express their fear, their anger, frustration. The biggest point about all of us is we listen. We listen to them first. We don't necessarily have an agenda. If we do, we kind of shift a little bit because we do have a format, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we really serve as a community for them to learn about alcoholism from that perspective of the alcoholic, and then from the perspective of what it's like from our side. I always say side of the street. From our side of the street, and give them hope, really.
Yeah. How cool.
Yeah, we usually start with, we'll just kind of, whether it's Zoom or we have Zoom in person, and we have 3 a week.
That's
we have Wednesday at 6:30 in person, online on a Zoom, and they can register on the website. And then we have 12 o'clock noon, which is really cool because it's usually tends to be like a smaller group, and they can really get their individual questions answered and kind of have like one-on-one. They have big questions, things that are really weighing on their mind. And so we usually do we'll welcome all of kind of our team members. We kind of tell them what we're about quickly, and then we allow them to introduce themselves and kind of make announcements if we need to about, how to join the Facebook page or podcast, things like that. So Deb calls it housekeeping. Yeah, and so she'll do her housekeeping, and then we allow them to introduce themselves if they want to. That's optional. Put our numbers in the chat, and then we usually go over. What we try to do is go over the disease. That way they have, number one, education about what their family member is going through, and maybe themselves, but usually their family member. And then we try to, if there's time, hopefully have lots of time to answer questions. What does that look like? How does that relate to us? How do we deal with that if they have a disease? What do we do about that if it's something we can't control? So we try to give them, in an hour, we try to give them introductions, education, and then an opportunity for support and questions.
That's awesome. So good. This question's going to be off the grid, but what is a family support committee member? Because I know you can go on the website and the committee members are listed with their phone numbers, so anybody can call you guys at any time. That's probably a good thing or maybe negative thing. I don't know. But what's a committee member? What does that mean?
Well, we are really, really supportive of Maggie's. And like I said kind of in the beginning, we really want to help those that are in conflict or they are in dire need of a direction to help them navigate through these crazy waters. And so we want to really give them the opportunity to contact us because an hour isn't a lot of time. And since that hour when we first started this whole family support in the beginning, the early days, we've added. So we have, like Lauren said, simultaneously we have an in-person meeting and a Zoom meeting on Wednesdays. And now we've added a Thursday, and we're talking about maybe adding something on Tuesday night as well. A lot of times people's schedules, or they don't really know, or they're afraid of the confidentiality part or being able to share and be raw. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a person on the phone. Mm-hmm. And so we give them that opportunity. They don't understand the steps. They don't understand the recovery and all of that. So we just listen. We really listen. And a lot of times we don't say a lot. We just are another person on the end of a phone giving them, because of our past experiences, that we identify with what they're going through. I mean, I do get goosebumps when I say that because it is hard. I mean, it's really hard to understand, and you can't necessarily talk to your best friend or your mom or your sister sometimes unless they've lived in your shoes, and they don't know what that's like. And sometimes, and Lauren knows because we talk, we're really close. She'll redirect me going, all right, just, take a pause, pray, just sit back a little bit, and we just try and offer that same opportunity for a person that is just lost and hearing about us, right?
Well, and thanks, Deb. And we're basically volunteers. Yeah. So we volunteer based on our experience, and so if our numbers are on the website, that means that we're available for them to call. What we do is offer our sponsorship, but that's something that, like we talked about earlier, may come a lot later if they don't know what that looks like. Or maybe they don't even want to do that. They just want to learn, ask some questions, maybe they just want to talk. A lot of people will not get to that point as a family member, but we're offering it. So we're just offering our support in some way, and what that looks like later, it depends on the person.
So what does somebody need to do if they want to become a committee member? Can anybody become a committee member?
That's a really good question.
That's a great question.
We really need committee members. So please, if you're listening, think about it. One of the prerequisites that we as a team suggest is that you've gone through the steps, because it gives you a better understanding to then be able to carry the message to others. I think what's been cool lately is that especially when we do Zoom calls in these meetings, is some of our members that have been coming back, like their loved one has already graduated and maybe they've graduated from the Next Step program too, they're able to give assistance or some love and support to those that are newcomers that have just come on the call. And that is just wonderful to watch. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, that's what it's about. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. And if people want to join, as far as I understand, if they want to become a committee member, I think they can reach out to us, ask about it, and then we usually vote about it and see.
I mean, it's really easy. We really welcome people. We're trying to grow our committee, so.
Good. I'm glad I asked. Yeah. So you need committee members.
We need committee members, and it's a really fun opportunity.
All right.
Different experiences are welcome too, so it's really great. There will be
glad
somebody.
You said that.
Yeah, there will be somebody who, like maybe it's a parent that is their alcoholic or addict, somebody who's got a husband, somebody who's got a sister, brother, kids, and if everybody offers a different level of it or a different type of experience, then it's helpful because I'm not going to relate to they're not going to relate to somebody who doesn't have a parent if they have, but basically they're not going to relate if they don't have the same experience as we do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it would be completely different if it was your child that you were watching, maybe versus somebody else. Like, it would be easy for me as a mom to want to be very controlling or obsessive or whatever and say, you don't understand, like I'm a
We're
mother.
looking at Deb.
Yeah.
Hello.
So I could totally see why having somebody with that experience would be helpful. So what kind of questions are typically asked in the meeting?
I'm so
That's
glad
so
that you asked that because,
There's
a
a lot.
lot of times people will come in and go, okay, why do I have to do anything? It's not about me. It's all their fault. They just need to get their life together. Can't they understand with all these, consequences that have happened to them? They just need to just stop drinking or stop using. It's not my problem. And we're like, okay, been there, understand that.
It seems like the top question is, what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
What do I do?
They want to know what to do, right, when they come in. And that's such a big question. They want to know, why can't they stop? If they don't understand the disease, they want to know, why are they continuing to put their hand on the stove, like Deb says, if it's hot.
Or it's a character flaw. I mean, and I have to say that I kind of thought that way in the beginning too. I mean, I knew it was a disease because people have said that to me. I've read the material, heard it from, the medical community, but I still it didn't really resonate with me until really my son said, when I first saw him after his 30-day inpatient program at a family support weekend, he looked so happy. Because he goes, I'm normal. There are other people kind of like me here, and I have this allergy. I have a manifestation of an allergy. And he goes, so my body just doesn't work like maybe yours does. And that has always stayed with me. So a lot of times I think people just don't understand that it's a disease. And they also want to know more about boundaries. Right.
Yeah. What boundaries? Sometimes it's specific, and a lot of times they'll want to know, what do they do when their loved one gets out? What do we do? They're getting out in a week. What do we do? When they finish the first step.
That's
what
true.
What are our behaviors? What do we need to say and do? Some of the questions are really specific, and a lot of those, I've said this, but we can't answer those for each specific situation is different. So I think it's those questions can be tricky, and what's really good is that we all have different experience to be able to kind of give them insight, and really that's really helping them connect.
So if somebody does say, what do I do when I get out?
Oh, when their loved one gets out.
Yeah. And they ask, like, do I let them come back home? Do you get that question?
I'm so glad she said that. Yeah, right? I mean,
we
people
do get that question.
Get that. And a lot of times it's not like we're throwing it back on them, but we say it kind of depends. Yeah. And what's great about the Magdalen House is not only just the peer-to-peer advocacy push that they do so well, but they have a support system, staff. Your loved one has a sponsor. They usually have worked the first 3 steps. So what we say is that your loved one is really being taken care of, and that you really, if you can focus on your self-care, which sometimes they don't really understand what that is, but that community has your person, and they ask those kinds of questions like, maybe it's not a good idea I go home because there's going to be all these triggers, or we're going to fight like we did before. And so there are sober living environments for them to go to, but that is all taken care of from the alcoholics community and support team. And we're not supposed to get involved in that, which is really hard to explain, especially to a mom, because we're out there dialing, sober living, or maybe you can go stay with your uncle, grandparents, right?
Yeah, it's tricky. So when they ask questions, a lot of times that's why our phone numbers are there, and that's why we're there to help them afterwards, because in an hour meeting, you're not going to get through big questions like that. They want to know these big things, and it depends on their loved one's sponsorship, what their program looks like, and then it also depends on, some other elements. So it really just depends on the family and what they have going on. And so, I specifically a lot of times won't answer that right away. We want to teach them about the disease. We want to give them our phone numbers, want to give them some education, and then, hey, if we want to talk about that, after, let's look at that. Call us.
Yeah, talk to us like individually.
Yeah.
And we'll see, because it really depends on where their loved one's at, and it depends on where they're at.
Yeah, no, one of the things that I've come to learn from interviewing family members is that you all don't really tell each other what to do with their relationship or in their situations, which
it's key.
Yeah, I mean, which is really good, but I would also think hard.
It's hard. You could want to connect them to a higher power. So you want to connect them to God, which is going to help them figure out what they need to do in their own. Yeah, because we're not counselors, and we're not experts in their situation.
We don't give advice. A lot of times we talk about our experience. We can only, that's our depth and weight. Like, this is what worked for me, but I'm not necessarily saying it's going to work for you. And sometimes just hearing another person having gone through or going through is key. I mean, it makes you feel like you're not so crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's good. It's when you get the experience from the other family member, it's really good. So you can help them by sharing your experience, and then hopefully in that conversation they're led to something that maybe is a directive for them. But giving direct advice is usually tricky until you've developed a relationship and they've worked a step. They've worked their steps and they're working a program. And then you can really get to know them well enough to answer those.
Yeah. Well, that kind of, no, that makes perfect sense. One of the questions that, we have listed on here, which I think this is a great segue to, is why is it important for the family member to seek help for themselves?
I think it's really important because a lot of times we get lost in the shuffle. We're kind of we've been micromanaging and trying to be the director of our person's life. And our life and our personality and our character and our just physical appearance kind of changes a lot because we are living for that other person. And whenever something happens to them, it affects us in such a powerful way. And I don't necessarily mean it's always such a good way. So it's really important to recognize that, I use this a lot. You're on an airplane and the flight attendant says, you need to put that oxygen mask on your face first before you can assist anybody. So I really tend to focus on that when I'm talking to family members, that how important it is to practice self-care. And you're not being a narcissist by doing that. Mm-hmm. You really need to practice self-care because you're modeling really good behavior. You don't realize it towards your loved one. And then the loved one gets to like, okay, I'm not such a loser or so, because they're dealing with self-shame and all this negativity because they realize that their disease has really disrupted the family or the friendship or the workplace. And so the more that we can shift and help that loved one focus on self-care, I think it's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it helps if the family member is at Maggie's or maybe was at Maggie's or doesn't have to be at Maggie's, but if they're working a program and they're kind of speaking that language and they have a connection with a higher power and a sponsor, it would only make sense that we would, as loved ones of an alcoholic or addict, that we would also have that same connection, which is developed the same exact way, whether we have the body of an alcoholic or whether we don't. So we still have the same spiritual issues. When they get restless, irritable, and discontent, we do. They have something that they can't control. We can't control them. Therefore, everybody's powerless. And so I think, why would we not work the same program? Why would we not full circle be doing what they're doing in order to get the same recovery, just not from a substance?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
Sometimes we don't realize that our love language or our sending positive reinforcement, like little slogans, or taking pictures, which I'm guilty of, of one day at a time, or an excerpt from the Alcoholics Anonymous book to my loved one, is really, I probably should send it to Lauren or another family member than my alcoholic addict, because I'm not staying in my lane and I'm really so super focused on that person again, instead of redirecting and paying attention to what is in the best interest for me. And that's why carrying the message to other family members is so important, because we can take all that energy and all that really good love juju and direct it towards family members that are really in dire need of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I think the final question that I'm going to ask you guys, how about I just ask the final question, and then if there's anything else that you think we should add, we can add it. How has family support made a positive impact on your life?
First of all, family support it's just part of my daily routine now. Sometimes when, not just going, participating, facilitating, supporting our team or family members that come on to our calls or meet with us in person at the house, but just sometimes when I'm just in conflict, I'm in self-will and not thy will, thanks, Lauren, that it's amazing how I'll get a phone call or a text from a participant that's come to one of our meetings, or someone at the house has suggested, because we're listed, like you said, on the website to be able to support people. So it's part of who I am now. And I get kind of emotional about it. It helps me in every area of my life. So it's just not in dealing with my family member or those. It redefines really what my purpose is in a way, and that I'm here to help others and support others. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It can be emotional. I cry all the time, but it's made a really positive impact because we're able to have not only a community of people that have depth and weight, with our experience, rather than having coworkers who don't understand, or people who haven't been there. We not only have a community, but we have a support system. If something happens with our family members, say there's a relapse, and there has been, and we have people that we can call who've been there, have the depth and weight, and can direct us towards our higher power and keep us in, like Deb says, in our lane. But we have that community, and I think the community is really important to have. It can be very isolating.
Oh, yeah.
When you're going through something like this, when your family member is. And I think that it's great to have the community and the support system, and have our own program, have our own thing that we do. And so
if a family member, like if you had cancer or someone had diabetes, like my children or my husband or whatever, people will send me nice notes and flowers and bring me a casserole. They don't necessarily do that when you have a family member with the disease of alcoholism and addiction. It's not like I'm getting nice cards from people or flowers, and not that I'm asking for it, but the point is, it's just sort of, it has a negative connotation to it. And I have to say that I'm so grateful for having that experience, because I wouldn't be who I am today, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah. So, not that I need, lasagna. We were talking about that earlier, about what to make for dinner, but it's very different. And it would be wonderful if we could really turn the way that people view alcoholism and recovery and all that. So
it's a family disease. So.
It is a family disease. It affects all of us.
Well, and I think what can help end the stigma and the shame and everything is whenever, as a recovered alcoholic, speaking about it, but I think it can also be just as helpful for a family member to be out there speaking about it without shame, because from what I've learned from interviewing family members, is a lot of family members have this shame around it and want to keep it a secret and all that stuff, and think about it as a moral failing on their part. And
absolutely.
And so.
Yeah, if as a parent, a lot of times they'll say, well, you just didn't parent well because, my kid doesn't have these issues. And it's like, oh my God, that's a horrible thing to say. Horrible. Like I don't have control,
Yeah.
There's the key.
There he is.
Control.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, this whole thing is about control. It's really good to be able to have the community and to be able to talk about that lack of control, and to get a program ourselves, and to let them work their own program.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great way to be able to support our family member.
Yeah, it's amazing what you guys are doing. I think it's just, I used to think that, well, as an alcoholic, I have to do this stuff because otherwise I'm going to die, and you guys don't have to, but you choose to. But then somebody told me during an interview that it can be just as deadly for the loved one as the alcoholic, because loved ones will face depression and anxiety and isolation and all of this stuff. And it just completely opened up my mind to,
Yeah,
you
don't have to have a substance
No.
to go completely crazy and lose your health.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So, and it's, you could be texting and driving and following people places and putting yourself in dangerous situations, and we're just as crazy,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah, that insane thought really, it happens to us just as much as it happens to the alcoholic, where they decide to drink again. We decide to go, check their Facebook page or go check a place where they used to frequent, or do all kinds of crazy things and thinking it will be different this time. And it never is.
Yeah.
So, without a solution.
Yeah. Well, I am so grateful for you guys and what you guys do. This interview has been fantastic. I'm really blown away at the two of you. So you're just both so beautiful humans.
We're blown away by y'all.
Yes. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks. Yes.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, if you are interested in attending family support or getting more information on how to be a committee member, the Zoom link, all of that, you can go to magdalenhouse.org/family. And then I will also put the Zoom link and the meeting schedule in the show notes. Do you guys want me to put your contact information in the show notes as well?
Sure.
Okay. And I will put Lauren and Deb's contact information in the show notes as well. So if you have found this podcast helpful, inspiring, both, please share with someone that you think would benefit from it, and also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and rate on Spotify. Those things make a huge difference on the amount of people that we can reach. We want to make sure that we can do everyone all over the world since we have Zoom accounts,
Oh, yeah.
knows that there is a family support group and that they can also get help, and it doesn't have to cost anything.
No, it's free.
Yeah. How amazing.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And to our listeners, I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this From the Vault re-release of the Magdalen House podcast. Tune in every first and third Wednesday for a new release from one of our 3 podcast series. To learn more about the Magdalen House and the services that we offer, visit magdalenhouse.org or follow us on your favorite social media channel by searching for the Magdalen House.